Hello, everyone. Hope you're well. As here with another video. Hope everybody's doing good. It's been an absolute wild week in the MJ Online fan community. There's been an absolute avalanche of tracks leaked. There's been 27 or 28 leaks this week, and they vary in degrees from sort of being instrumentals to being partial vocals to just ideas, really. I guess a lot of them. I'm just going to do a quick sort of breakdown of the tracks, just go through each one and just give my 2 cents on my feelings and opinions on each one, and we'll just take it from there. Track one, the first one to be leaked, I believe, was Neverland Landing, and I mean, it's an okay track. It's an interesting track. I believe, it was recorded for a potential Steven Spielberg project. So within that context, I guess it would be cool. It would have worked. Um, Very sort of Broadway musical, very West End musical, very sort of stagey in that sense. Not something personally I think would fit an album per se, but yeah, a musical soundtrack, I guess, that kind of thing. It was okay. Yeah, nice to hear it, and I quite like it in that context. We also then had another one called is it World of Candy? I don't actually know if I have it here in my list, but I think it was called, yeah, World of Candy. World of Candy has got to be created specifically for the early 2000 film with Johnny Depp, Willy Wonka, the remake of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It absolutely has to be, and when you hear it in that context, it's again very much for a movie. Or a musical in that sort of vein. I believe a lot of fans sort of went in on this one quite hard, and a lot of people sort of didn't like it, and I liked it, but again, not something that could fit an album unless it was like a soundtrack for something like Willy Wonka or that type of thing. But nice to hear it. Nice to hear it. Yeah, I sort of have mixed feelings about the whole week, to be honest with you, because I just think like nearly 30 tracks just sort of scattered to the wind is a little bit sort of, things lose their impact. And I mean, I'm a fan as well, who comes from the generation where, you went and you bought an album, and you went home and you listened and lived with that album for 5 years, and everything that Michael released in his lifetime was absolute quality. Even if there was tracks that weren't necessarily your favorites, you always admired the production or the melody or the vocal or something on them. And we're now sort of at a stage where just everything and anything is just sort of thrown out there into the public domain. Now, that's nothing against the collectors. I believe there's been a war this past week with collectors, and there's been a race to sort of get there first, and to sort of, yeah, to just sort of be the guy, be the dude, I guess, to who sort of gave the fan community X amount of tracks. But I mean, that's neither here nor there. I've got nothing personal against anyone in that sense. And I mean, the other thing about it as well is that these would never have seen the light of day anyway with the estate, because the estate have no intention of presenting these tracks in any type of way that would represent Michael artistically, or that would show his artistry and his progression as a writer and as an artist, and how he evolved his work. So it's bittersweet, because on the one hand, they're just sort of released in this very sort of, in my opinion, it can almost feel meaningless way. And then on the other hand, they wouldn't have been released any other way, because the estate just are not interested in tracks with partial vocals, and they don't seem sort of, they just don't seem interested in presenting Michael in that way. So, I mean, perhaps that will change now with the release of the biopic this year, and things will progress, and hopefully the door will open for a number of projects that will please fans. But it's bittersweet for me, to be honest, and. And I don't mean to whine about it, but it's, yeah, for me, it's a case of there's almost too much material released. So So next we have Throwing Your Life Away. So Throwing Your Life Away leaked about 2 years ago, 2 3 years ago. It could be 3 years ago, and now we have it in high quality, and it's astonishing. It's a great track. It's from the Bad era. It's very typical of the Bad album in its sound and production. I absolutely love it, and to hear it in the high quality is great. And I appreciate hearing that this week. It's been really nice to hear that. So yeah, I like that one a lot. I like that one, and I would return to that one. Um, yeah, I really like that one. So Jane is a groupie from 1989. This was from the Dangerous sessions, and this one features a Michael vocal, and it's although it's very repetitive in its vocal, it's basically Michael repeating the same thing and then with a sort of different almost ad lib at the end of every line of Jane is a groupie, Jane is a groupie. But it's a foundational track, and it's there, and Michael has put his vocals on this to sort of map out I guess, where he would go with it eventually if he had worked on it. Now, a lot of people say that this one evolved into Give In To Me, and I can sort of hear that in the melody. I can hear that. I don't know if that's true or not. So, if anyone out there knows any better, I would love to hear if that is correct or not. But I like it. Nice to hear it. Now, again, something that in this stage of its evolution wouldn't be fit to be released on an album because the vocal is so repetitive. But if there's a version with a more complete vocal, it would be decent. Now it mightn't be something that would set the world alight, but it would work as an album track, I guess, with a more complete vocal, obviously. So the next one then on this list is Bubbles, which is an instrumental, and this is one of quite a few Brian Lauren instrumentals that have released that has been leaked this week, and it's okay. It's okay. It's an instrumental. There's no Michael vocal on it, so it doesn't hold much interest for me. And none of these instrumentals, to be honest, hold much interest for me. It's nice to hear them once or twice, but they're not something I would return to personally. So yeah, it's okay. Homeless Bound, instrumental, Brian Lauren, it's okay. Another one, it's all right. Garbage, quite interesting actually. This one is from the Dangerous Sessions as well. I guess most of the Brian Lauren ones would be. And this sounds, I think, like I Can't Let Her Get Away. So that's some that possibly evolved into I Can't Let Her Get Away. Interesting to hear it, and could be included maybe as part of a Dangerous box set or documentary detailing and showing the evolution of track from its origins to its completion. It would be lovely for a lot of this material to be presented in that type of way, but you just get the feeling with Michael's estate that they just have zero interest or inkling or any sort of regard for this type of material, and presenting Michael in an artistical way. So it's quite frustrating because on the one hand it's released, and then on the other hand it wouldn't have been. It no, it's so on the one hand it's leaked, and then for me when it's leaked, a lot of the time it sort of loses impact because you have a week where you have almost upwards of 30 tracks released, and you have fans just sort of then wanting more and more, uh, in this almost sort of obsessive way, and it just loses all its meaning to me. And I don't mean to whine about it. I appreciate hearing them, but it's bittersweet for me. I just think nice to hear it. I like hearing them. I enjoy hearing them, but then also it's just a case of hearing potential and what if, and just yeah. So these tracks now are out there, and and that's it. They're just out there now, floating around in the ether, and it is what it is, I suppose. So Garbage is interesting. The next one is an extended mix of Can't Let Her Get Away, and really nice to hear an extended mix. This one sort of features a rap from MJ, or at least a sort of partial rap, very much in a 90s almost sort of Fresh Prince, Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince in that 90s sort of rap way that Prince had a guest rapper in his band. Prince had a rapper in his band in the 90s, and it's that very 90s sort of commercial R&B charty rap that's aged quite badly, if I'm being honest. And the right decision was definitely made to edit down "Can't Let Her Get Away" and present it in a tightly edited, um, perfect way. And I mean, I'm a huge fan of the New Jack Swing tracks from the Dangerous album. So yeah, so I appreciated hearing this. And again, this would have been great to have included in a Dangerous box set, but again, that's something that we probably would never get anyway. So I guess I'm happy to hear it. So Dream Girl, instrumental, Brian Lauren, Family Thing. I think Family Thing is quite interesting, actually, and I think that's quite a nice one. But again, it's instrumental. There's no MJ vocals, so nice to hear it, but sort of meh, meh, yeah, and again, like, I don't mean to sound too blasé about all of it, but it's just, yeah, the instrumentals or ideas presented to Michael, a lot of these sound very much of their era, very much sort of Dangerous era, and yeah, like, nice, would have been great in a documentary, would have been great as part of a box set, but would never have, probably would have never saw the light of day. And then you've got collectors, I guess, sort of at war and racing to sort of be the one to release them, and it's just all sort of just thrown out there. And yeah, it's just a lot to digest in one week, I guess. So yeah, so all of the instrumentals, I pretty much have the same opinion on. The next one is Bombay Nights. It's nice. It's an instrumental, and it's interesting. And this one, I believe, is from the History era, and it's, yeah, nice to hear it, but not something I would return to if I'm being really honest. The next one is Innocent Man, and this one is really great and at the same time really heartbreaking because it's Michael's vocals. It has Michael vocals on it, and it's from the History era, and it's basically Michael's sort of plight and his feeling abandonment from America, and just, I guess, is a sort of glimpse into his psyche and his sort of mental state at the time and his predicament, and just really sad the way things sort of went for Michael Jackson, um, in the early 90s and then into the mid 90s, and posthumously as well. But yeah, one can only sort of imagine where Michael was at a certain stage, and feeling abandoned from the country of your birth is, must be incredibly hurtful. And that's, I guess, how Michael was feeling. And at the same time, I suppose he didn't sort of evolve it or work on it. And he said so much on the History album anyway. And this sort of expands and extends on where he was mentally, and just the utter sadness to it and what he went through and his detractors, I guess. And this doesn't pertain to protract his protractors or anything, but it's just sad to hear Michael feeling that sort of America has abandoned him. And bittersweet, beautiful, and lovely vocals on it. Not at a stage that could be released. Perhaps it would need to be more evolved, but certainly at a stage where it could have been included again in a history box set, or a history documentary. But I don't foresee anything like that down the line. The biopic is being released this year, so hopefully that opens the doors to new projects that fans can enjoy, and only time will tell, I suppose, with that. So the next track is another one from the History era, and that's Much Too Soon, and this is Mix 9, and this would have been the version that Michael was happy with, signed off on, would have if Michael was to have included this on an album, it would have been this version, unless he would have worked on it further and just sort of polished it and perfected it and tightened it up a little bit. But I mean, this is the version. And again, it just makes you wonder. It just makes one wonder where Michael's estate's heads are at when they felt the need to get musicians and producers to come in and to add instrumentation over a track that's ready to go. It's fully complete, vocally, instrumentally, fully produced. All they would have had to do was just master it for the album, and it's a ready-made Michael track in the waiting, and it's really nice to hear it with the way Michael intended, the way Michael left it, and it's beautiful. And again, it's just the mind boggles, and I just fail to wrap my head around sometimes the sort of decisions that this estate have made. And yeah, the next one is Changes. Changes is from the History era, and it's absolutely phenomenal. Now, there's not much of a vocal. There is a vocal on it, but I mean, lyrically, it's not developed. But it has, I believe, I want to say it's the Andre Crouch Choir because it's the History era, and that's who Michael worked with, and it's that gospel choir that just give this song such a sense of passion. And one gets the sense that of frustration from it, that Michael is sort of venting and frustrated and just sort of it just sort of not screaming, but just sort of venting at humanity and wanting human beings to change, make changes, and to be better people and to be a better society. And it would have been so powerful to have this on History, and to have it in this state would have been so powerful to have it as part of a documentary, or as part of a history anniversary or just box set, because it would this is something that is absolutely worth hearing, and it's worth this, along with a few of them, would be worth hearing in an official release. But I don't think we would have ever seen any of these in an official release. So nice to hear it. But again, it just sort of saddens me that the only way we get to hear these tracks is just by leak online. And it just seems to me that that so much of the posthumous stuff that has come out has just been just so wasted. There has been opportunities for stuff to, I mean, I'm not saying that any of this needed to sort of be a number one on the Hot 100 or the Billboard charts or anything like that, but it just could have been so much more impactful if it had been released in a professional capacity. And it would have just added so much to Michael's level on a commercial level, and on a professional level, and it would have added to the posthumous catalog, and it would have added to the insight to Michael's artistry and how very special he was. And it saddens me. It just saddens me that stuff. And I again, guys, I don't mean to be whining about it. I don't mean to be sort of ungrateful. Believe me, I'm very grateful to hear it. But I just would have loved this to be on something official, because it's just beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So we have Brad loops, so Brad Boxer instrumental track on a loop, and it is what it is. It's interesting, nice to hear, and that's that. World of Candy, I discussed that one. That's that one, I believe, that was intended for the Willy Wonka film, and again, not something particularly that I would imagine would fit on an album, but something absolutely for a box set, or as part of a documentary or something. And it's out there now, and it's floating around the world, and that's kind of it. It will just sort of be there now, like all of these tracks, and just sort of lose their sort of meaning for the majority of people. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of hardcore fans out there who will sort of, I guess, regularly listen to this stuff for the rest of their days. But for me, a lot of it just loses its value. And I know I'm sort of beating on the same drum here with what I'm saying, but nice to hear it. yeah, nice to hear it, and then understanding the context of World of Candy, just sort of a little what would you say, a little sort of a curiosity, and a lot of these are really interesting curiosities that would have been great to hear one way or another in a professional release. But I know I'm saying the same things, and that would never happen. That would never be the case anyway. So this list I got online from a fan forum. So Days in Gloucestershire, I'd heard that. This is another mix, I think. Yeah, that's a beautiful track, and again, something that could have been released, whether lyrically or vocally partial. This is stuff that could have been this is stuff that could have been released as part of this is all box set material for me. And yeah, nice to hear it. I like that one. It's a beautiful melody, and um this calls back to the, the noughties when Michael visited where did he visit? He visited somewhere in southern England, and he went to Exeter Football Club, and he went to Gloucestershire, and yeah. So I think Michael really loved it there, to the point, obviously, where he wrote a song, and it's beautiful, and it's worth hearing, and it's wonderful, and it's very Michael in its sensibilities, and it's just a heartfelt, beautiful, warm ballad, and yeah, really nice to hear it. Really nice to hear it. Adore you, adore you. I can't actually recall that one, so I'm not sure what my opinion on that one is. Remember what I told you is incredible. It's an absolutely incredible. It's about 1.5 minutes in length, and it's Michael singing a beautiful melody line of "Remember What I Told You," and very simplistic in its approach. It's almost it's pretty much an a cappella, and it finishes on a little bit of an instrumental, I think. And somebody pointed out that this would have made a wonderful interlude on the Michael album, and it. I mean, that would be ideal for it for this to be an interlude on an album. It's wonderful, and something quite yearning, quite sad about it in the sort of. I mean, it's beautiful. It's really beautiful, and it's got a huge emotional impact to it, I think, because the vocal is just so pure and so clean and so simple and beautiful, and well worth hearing. So I really really like that one. So yeah. So there's another one then, Hallucination, which is a writer's demo from Steve Procaro, who gave Michael obviously Human Nature, and then worked on Michael with Chicago 1945. And I really like it. I really like it. It's a writer's demo. It's Steve Procaro singing the vocals. Um, but one does get the impression that Steve Procaro very much got Michael artistically, and got Michael's sort of spirit, and understood what Michael would go for musically. So really lovely demo, and quite heartfelt and beautiful melody line in it. And I think it would have been wonderful if Michael had recorded it, actually. And yeah, really like it. And then on top of all of these, we had like a load of sort of snippets of things. There's like an 18 or 19 minute writer's working session tape of Give In To Me, and it's absolutely phenomenal. Again, this is something that could have worked really well as part of a documentary, but like a load of things leaked in recent years, it's just sort of out there now. And look, at the same time, I do sort of think that it's wonderful to have it out there, and that people will stumble upon it online and appreciate it and enjoy it. Um, a few years ago, was it Brad Sundberg's laptop was stolen, and the guy who the guy who stole Brad, and that, and you know, like, I mean, I can't condone that. Obviously, that's absolutely awful, and I do feel for Brad Sundberg to have gone through that. But the guy who stole that leaked everything online, and included within that leak was a video of Michael recording the vocals for Childhood, and it's an incredible piece of footage to watch. It's really, really stunning. And when I saw that, now History is my favorite album anyway, but when I saw the footage of Michael singing Childhood, it elevated the song for me. Now it's already a beautiful, incredible vocal um, take from Michael on the released version, but just seeing him in the studio recording it just elevates it. And I mean, that's what this stuff does. It gives you an insight into Michael's artistry, and it evolves, and it gives you an appreciation for how Michael worked, and how sort of idiosyncratic he was, an individual, and unorthodox he was in the way he worked and his working creative process. And I just feel that so much of this material could have been brought together, and they could have created so much with this material. They could have created, or somebody, and look, don't get me wrong, it still could happen. Somebody could take all of this incredible footage, incredible audio, and create something really, really special, because it just seems so important to Michael's legacy, and so valuable and so special. And I would hate for it to sort of just kind of fly under the radar. And that's I guess where I feel sort of sad on the one hand, is that like a lot of it is just sort of thrown out there, and it's sort of make of it what you will. Some people will discover it, other people won't. But if it was developed into something professional and presented in that type of way, I just think so many people would see it, and it would impact them in such an extraordinary way. And yeah, so that's kind of my feeling on it. And then there's other snippets from other things as well. So it was a mixture of like sort of vocals with partial lyrics, instrumentals, and sort of writers' takes and demos. There's another one as well, actually, and I can't remember what it is, but it's like a rhythm and blues track with Michael jamming to a blues guitar, and it's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. And I don't know if the estate is aware of this stuff, or if that sort of rhythm and blues track was in the possession of the estate. But if this stuff was in the possession of the estate, and they didn't do anything with it, or I don't know if they had plans to do anything with any of this, but it just beggars belief that they would just sort of let stuff like that sitting around, or at, you know, at the very least, like, you would you would just want to know what where their head is at with this, because it's phenomenal stuff. It's really important stuff. And just to have Michael on a rhythm and blues track that recalls musicians like BB King, and like sort of back to the 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever, back to sort of that really old original black, almost New Orleans rhythm and blues music, to have Michael on something like that, and to just leave it be sort of flung out into the wind. And just I don't know. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it sort of. Well, I am saying it detracts from it in a way. But then I guess I just never would have heard it if it wasn't released in that way. So yeah, so that's how I'm feeling, guys. I have mixed emotions this week. I've had a very difficult week, sort of personally. There was a friend of mine passed away, and so it's been quite a difficult week. And then to hear this stuff, and so much of it, I guess a lot of it was overwhelming for me to hear it. I appreciate a lot of it, I enjoy a lot of it, and then a lot of it is I'm sort of just indifferent to. And I just roll my eyes in dismay at the estate and their lack of foresight and insight, and just just disbelief that they would sort of leave this stuff under the radar and that it would just sort of be released in this way. I appreciate it being released in this way. I don't mean to sound like I'm ungrateful. I'm very grateful to hear it, but I just think more, more could be done. Perhaps I'm not saying any of this was sort of album ready material or anything like that, but it's it certainly was worthy of being kept and um, catalogued and put out there in some sort of professional presentation, whether it be documentary or box set or whatever. But that's it, guys. Hope everybody's well. Thank you for watching. I do plan on getting back to the archives. I've had quite a difficult week this past week, and I just wanted to make this video to sort of motivate myself, and I just felt like that I wanted to put some sort of opinion out there on the recent leaks. And yeah, and I appreciate those leaks and happy to hear them. And yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, I would appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate a subscribe. And I'll catch you all in my next video. Thank you, guys. Bye.